Oh boy, it's that time of year again. The time for Mr. Bones to talk about something that no one talks about or cares about because he can't think of original content. Hey, that's just what I do. Hey guys, I'm Mr. Bones, the internet's most unrecognizable but classy skeleton. And when I'm not slacking on making a video because I'm too much of a lazy ass to really think of original video content, I'm playing my Nintendo Switch. Specifically playing some of my favorite games, Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion 3, Nintendo Switch Online Super Nintendo Edition, mainly the first two Donkey Kong Country games, and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. The reason why I bring up those last three in particular is because today's video is a very important one, a big one, because I want to talk about Donkey Kong. That's literally going to be the point of this video. I wanted to talk about the Big Ape, Donkey Kong, DK, Unkus Munkus. Oh wait, no, that's the YouTuber that talks about the big monkey man. So, Donkey Kong is a franchise that was created by, what was this guy's name again? I can't pronounce. Shigeru Miyamoto. This lovely man came out in 1985, and it was a very popular arcade series. In fact, it's what saved Nintendo from basically dying. And now Donkey Kong is a not really loved franchise anymore. Nintendo doesn't really give a shit about Donkey Kong, which is a shame, because I'd go as far as to say Donkey Kong's games are some of the best Nintendo has to offer in their catalog. I mean, there's so many great games. There's this one, there's this one, there's this one, not you. There's this one, and there's this one, and that one, and no, not you. And this one. There's just so many great Donkey Kong games, and I wanted to talk about some of them. Specifically these three, for two reasons. One, these are my favorites, and two, these are the ones I've played. So, yeah. No, I will not be talking about Donkey Kong Country 3, in no particular reason. Well, actually, I lied when I said that. There is a reason why I'm not going to be talking about Donkey Kong Country 3. It's quite simple, really. You see, the reason why we're not going to be talking about Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, is because, well, it kinda fucking sucks. And I'll explain why I feel that way. But until then, let me just sink my teeth in this horde of golden bananas as we discuss all of my favorite Donkey Kong games and how I feel about the series as a whole. Okay, let's just talk about some Chicken 8, man. Sure, most of the people watching this video already know how Donkey Kong affected Nintendo, but in case you didn't, here's a recap. After that brief little internet historian level explanation as to why Donkey Kong exists and why he's still here today, I wanted to explain the more important side of the Kong, specifically the Rare era. You see, Rareware was best known for making Battletoads, Wizards and Warriors, and a bunch of other bullshit that no one cares about, like this game. Yeah, that. So, anyway, Rare decided that they were going to buy a super high-tech silicon graphics computer, and then decided they were going to fuck with the computer technology and make a CG prototype boxing game, because Tim and Chris Stamper liked boxing, I guess. I don't know. And then some person at Nintendo saw that and was like, yo, that's it, chief, and went back and convinced that the then president of Nintendo, then he was like, fine, let's make an agreement with Rare to buy 49% of the company. And then the Stamper brothers were just like, aight, we're down with that. And they did. And then they were like, hey, can we make a Donkey Kong game? And then Nintendo was just like, bitch, I don't give a shit. Just make us a funny 3D game. And then they made Donkey Kong Country with the help of Shigeru Miyamoto. By the way, this rumor that's been going around is bullshit. They created a new story for Donkey Kong, a new world for Donkey Kong. Shigeru Miyamoto, for some reason, had always saw Donkey Kong as a part of the Mario universe, but Rare didn't see it this way. You see, Rare decided that they wanted Donkey Kong to be in his own universe, so they created a whole new cast of characters, including Cranky Kong, who was the original arcade Donkey Kong, but old and wrinkly. Speaking of wrinkly, there's Wrinkly Kong, his wife. She's not very important, except she dies in Donkey Kong 64, but we'll get to that. Then there's Diddy Kong, which, if you flip the name backwards, it'll make you laugh. Then there's Funky Kong. And then there's Candy Kong. She looks like a Sasquatch. And then finally, best, and of course, last but not least, the antagonist. No, just kidding, we're gonna save those for later. So yeah, Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo came out in 1994, and it was obviously a smash hit. It sold millions of units. It was considered one of the most revolutionizing video games of the time, and it won a crap ton of awards. it put Nintendo in a higher stand in the video game market than anyone at the time, even Sega. And Sega was kind of kicking their ass with Sonic the Hedgehog. They didn't have to be cool to prove to the kiddies that Nintendo wasn't fucking around. They had 3D technology, bitch. What do you have, Sonic? Shoes! Also, Michael Jackson.
There was doo-doo feces thrown all over the wall.
Okay, enough of this shit posting. I'm just gonna talk about the game now. I love Donkey Kong Country, the original one, the first game that started it all. Donkey Kong Country is one of the best. It's not only is it really fun, the gameplay is just genuinely a good time. It's solid platforming, a good challenge for those younger platformer enthusiasts out there. But it's just a good time. It's just really fun. It's a funny and charming game, and I love it. But the only issue with Donkey Kong Country 1 is that it's very basic, at least as far as the settings go. For those of you Rareware fanboys, I think you'll understand where I'm coming from with this, but Rare was very well known for making their locales very different and unique in every game that they had. They were not afraid to think outside the box when it came to locations for their characters in games. I mean, think of Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, all of the other Donkey Kong games, Jet Force Gemini, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Killer Instinct. There were so many different worlds and wacky ideas that Rare had come up with. But Donkey Kong Country was like the first one that they ever made where they really decided to creatively think outside the box, so it's no surprise that they didn't really go too far with locales. In Donkey Kong Country 1, mostly it's pretty natural. It's a tropical setting, so there's going to be jungles and forests and, glaciers and a factory. I don't know what the hell Rare was smoking with this shit, but Donkey Kong Country is a fun-ass game. Don't get me wrong there. Sure, Donkey Kong himself moves like dog shit, but hey, as long as you play as Diddy Kong, it's a good time. Also, for those of you chumps out there that don't know how to get enough lives but you keep dying, here's a good way to get lives. Donkey Kong Country 1, it's the most revolutionizing game for the Super Nintendo, as it showed that 3D graphic technology can work on the system if done correctly, but also it's a good way of showing people that Donkey Kong is more than just a big ape man. He's also 3D ape man, and that's important. Now, while Donkey Kong Country 1 was very basic, they blew that bullshit out of the water in the next one. So this is the part where I segue into the next one. Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest is my favorite Super Nintendo game of all time. It's no surprise there. Everybody loves this game. If you're a fan of the Super Nintendo, chances are you've played Donkey Kong Country 2, and chances are you absolutely love it. It just takes the idea of the first Donkey Kong Country game and just makes it so much better. And I'll explain why that is. You see, in the first Donkey Kong game, it was the definition of basic. I mean, it was Rare getting their footing together as to what they were going to do with the franchise. And don't get me wrong, Donkey Kong Country was still a great game, but Donkey Kong Country 2 is what took the first game and made it better. The plot of the first game was simple. The Kremlings one night stole the Kong's banana hoard. Donkey Kong finds out, and it's up to him and Diddy Kong to go on a quest to get the Kong's banana hoard back. In the second game, King K. Rool isn't very happy by the fact that Donkey Kong was successful in his mission of getting his bananas back. King K. Rool decides that maybe if Donkey Kong was out of the picture, then he would have a better shot at stealing the banana hoard. So not only did he steal the banana hoard this time around, but Donkey Kong himself. It was sort of a hostage situation. Hey, I kidnapped Donkey Kong. Give us the banana hoard and you can have your precious Kong back. Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong were not going to have that, as they went on a quest to Crocodile Isle to save not only the banana hoard, but Donkey Kong. It was just a lot more theatrical of a plot, and it felt more original and interesting. And much like the first game, not only that, but the setting was a lot more ambitious too. Crocodile Isle is obviously all Kremling territory. It's not just Kong Island. You're not just going to be looking at luscious tropical islands and glaciers and factories and all that. No. You're going to be seeing some way wackier shit. A volcano, a swamp, a ghost ship, the ship itself from the first game, that's the first world, carnival, a beehive. There's just so many interesting worlds in DKC2, and it just blows the locales out of the first one out of the water. I also think that the game just feels a lot more polished. Maybe it's because you don't play as Donkey Kong, because I think we can all agree Donkey Kong wasn't the most smooth running character to play as in the first one, and that's why everyone played as Diddy Kong. I'm pretty sure that's why Diddy Kong was the star of the second game.
My point being is that Donkey Kong Country 2 just takes the ideas of the first one and makes it better, and that's why I think it's the best one out of the series. Donkey Kong Country 2 not only is the best one out of the series, but I think it's the best Super Nintendo game of all time. It's just so damn good. And not only is the gameplay good, but the music's great too. Much like the first game, David Wise comes back to make some of the most beautiful scores that the Super Nintendo, hell, gaming has ever heard. Now, Donkey Kong Country 2, masterpiece. But what do they do the third time around? Well, like I said before, whatever they did, I wasn't a fan of. Yeah, so it's no surprise. I don't like Donkey Kong Country 3. I just shitposted like 15 minutes ago why I don't like the game. Yeah, I don't like Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. And a lot of people don't really like the game all that much. And if you really think about it, it's not really hard to see why we don't like it. It's nowhere near as good as the second game, and just because we're comparing it doesn't mean that doesn't give us the right to not like it, you know? I know a lot of people think the third one is better than both of the first two games combined. I know there's at least one person out there that thinks this way, and if I don't blame them if they think that way, you know, it's their opinion, they probably grew up with the game more than us. Well, newsflash, Jack, I grew up with Donkey Kong Country 3, and I still didn't like it. Kiddy Kong, I think, is the biggest reason why, and it's also one of the main reasons why a lot of people don't like DKC 3. Kiddy Kong sucks. But before I talk about Kiddy Kong, let's take a step back and talk about the plot. Much like Donkey Kong Country 2, King K. Rool has another trick up his sleeve, more like the same trick just with an extra step added to it. Not only does he kidnap the Banana Horde and Donkey Kong, but now Diddy Kong. I don't know what's with this guy, but they made King K. Rool a real idiot because you think he would learn his lesson. If he's gonna kidnap a Kong, he's gonna do it all the way. Why didn't he kidnap Dixie Kong, or all of the Kongs for that matter? Why didn't he just kill all of them? I don't really think they thought too much about the plot this time around. I mean, it was a Super Nintendo game, but still, the plot is important. Regardless of how basic it is, it's still important that you have an enriched story so you have a reason for the Kongs to go after the Green Goon. Now, Dixie Kong is kind of confused of why Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong haven't returned from their vacation, so she goes on an epic quest with Kiddy Kong now because Funky Kong doesn't want to deal with him. That's literally the plot of the third game, and they find him. Turns out that she bumps into Chaos, which is a robot that apparently has changed places with King K. Rool for some reason, and is kidnapped Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, and it's up to her to stop Chaos. As it turns out, King K. Rool had built Chaos. I guess he's also a doctor now. And, yeah, Donkey Kong Country 3 Dixie Kong's Double Trouble's plot is very dumb. I feel like one of the main reasons why Donkey Kong Country 3 doesn't work is because they just didn't utilize the game well. They executed the game very poorly. You know, if it's the third game, then why didn't they make the whole mechanic and gimmick of the game you can play as 3 Kongs now? That would have been really interesting. Not only would you have been able to play as Dixie Kong, Diddy Kong, and Donkey Kong, but maybe you could have been able to unlock other Kongs in the process. Maybe levels where you could play as Funky Kong, or levels where you could play as Cranky Kong, or Wrinkly Kong, or the Kremlings. It'd be so cool if I could play as King K. Rool in one level. That would have been awesome. But, you know, I feel like it's one of those cases where it was the end of the Super Nintendo's lifespan. The Nintendo 64 had just come out, and people were moving on from the Super Nintendo. And seeing as how there was a mediocre game, it's no surprise why a lot of people don't like the third one all that much. Not to say that people don't like the game, but it's not as popular as the second one. But just because the third game isn't as good as the other two, doesn't mean it's not a good game in its own right. It's not bad by any means, it's just not great. At least compared to the first two. The Nintendo 64 had just come out, and people were ready for a new game to come out on that hardware. Super Mario 64 and this launch title released, but they wanted more. They wanted more IPs to come to the Nintendo 64, and just their luck, in 1999, they got Donkey Kong's first adventure in 3D, Donkey Kong 64. And shockingly, a lot of people hate this game. But why? Now I'm about to look like a giant jackass because I'm going to tell you this right now. I love Donkey Kong 64. In my personal opinion, it's my third favorite Donkey Kong game of all time, and it's my second favorite Nintendo 64 game of all time. It's such a great game, and so many people have been shitting on it over the years because of two main reasons. Two reasons I will dive into right now. But before I do, let's, once again, talk about the story. Well, it looks like King K. Rool has finally learned his lesson about kidnapping Kongs in the Banana Horde, as this time around, instead of him doing all of the Kongs and stealing the Banana Horde, he's ready to blow up Donkey Kong Island. He's gonna get rid of that bitch in no time with Snide's new invention, the Blast-O-Matic. So yeah, it seems the stakes have been raised just a smidge this time around, and King K. Rool, he ain't fucking around. This is a serious King K. Rool, alright? He is ready to finally crush the Kongs once and for all. Now, the plot, a lot more interesting, but so is the gameplay, as it's 3D. Now, again, the two main reasons why people don't like this game is two things. Way too many collectibles, and backtracking. Donkey Kong 64 took a lot from Banjo-Kazooie, which was a game before it. Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite video game of all time, and it's probably no surprise why I sympathize with Donkey Kong 64 so much, but allow me to continue. There is a plethora of things to collect in this game. There's golden bananas, the main thing you have to collect. Banana medals, bananas in general, with different colors, as you play as different Kongs, including not only Donkey Kong, but Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, Chunky Kong, and Lanky Kong. Yeah, that's a lot of Kongs. Now, I can see why people don't really like this game all that much. There's a lot of shit you gotta collect. There's bananas with each Kong, blueprints for each Kong, and by the way, each blueprint you get another golden banana from Snide's HQ. There are banana balloons, which you have to use by shooting balloons with weapons that you have to get from Funky Kong. There's also musical instruments that you can get from Candy's Music Shop, as well as watermelon upgrades. Watermelons are the health things in this game. You hit an enemy, you get a watermelon. Simple as that. So there's no shock that there's a lot to collect here. But sure, okay. There's a lot of things to collect, but there's a lot of things to collect in Banjo-Kazooie. So, a lot of things to collect in Banjo-Tooie. What of it? More things to collect means more time to spend in this amazing world of a game, alright? That's one argument that's dumb. On to the next one. Backtracking is the name of the game, folks. This is the thing that everyone hates the most about Donkey Kong 64. Honestly, I don't see why people hate it so much. Yeah, you have to backtrack. You have to go back and play as a different Kong each time you want to get something specific, like say a blue banana. Well, if you're Donkey Kong, you're going to have to go into a tag barrel and play as Lanky. It's just, you have to wash and repeat that over and over again. And some people argue that the game design isn't necessarily built around it. But I think the contrary. I think Donkey Kong 64's backtracking is built around the gameplay and vice versa. It's nothing that I personally see as a big deal. I like games where you backtrack. It gives me an opportunity to comb the entire world of everything I need. I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased because I grew up with this game, but I mean, I did grow up with Donkey Kong Country 3 and I think that game sucks, so maybe I'm missing something here. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts about Donkey Kong 64, as I think personally this is the most controversial DK game in the mainline history. So, if you guys like Donkey Kong 64 or you don't like it, explain what you think. And even if you don't like the game, tell me what you think is good about it. There has to be some perks, right? Well, with that said, it's time to talk about the thing I didn't really want to talk about. The end of the Rareware era. Okay, well, it's time I rip this band-aid off. Every time I talk about this, I get sad. It's life, man. It's the kind of thing that I wish I wasn't in this timeline. If you want to piss me off and make me throw a table, just say the words, the Microsoft buyout of 2002, and I guarantee you there's going to be a knife in someone's head and a wall with a hole in it. The Rareware buyout of 2002 is sad because Microsoft had bought Rare and made them a first-party developer for the Xbox. No more Nintendo consoles is what I'm trying to say. So all of these projects that Rare was working on in 2001, 2002, in between there, were all canceled, and then they moved all of their non-Nintendo products onto Xbox. That includes Conker and Banjo, seeing as how Rareware owned those properties entirely. And I'll be talking about my favorite Honey Bear in a separate video. But back to Donkey Kong. A lot of Donkey Kong games were canceled. Donkey Kong Racing, Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers, a bunch of other bullshit. I could have sworn there was this one rumor floating around when they were making a sequel to DK64, but I couldn't get enough information on that, and I would ask Steve Mails if he would like to bring anything to the table about that, but frankly, I don't think he would respond to me, because who would? This is when Donkey Kong went into a bit of a rut. A lot of games that Nintendo worked on that were Donkey Kong related were weird. A lot involved bongo peripherals for the GameCube. They sucked asshole. There was a bunch of GBA games that sucked asshole. And, yeah, Donkey Kong, as far as the mainline titles go, was pretty short. And one thing that those mainline titles that Nintendo was making that was missing was a lot of the Rare charm that they had left behind. And one of those things are the antagonist, the Kremlings. Allow me to quote Uncle Al verbatim from his Donkey Kong Month video from 2019. The Kremlings are the unsung heroes of Donkey Kong Country. And I couldn't agree more. The Kremlings are my favorite antagonist of any Nintendo game. They're absolutely amazing. Rareware created some of the honest-to-God best villains of any video game ever. So, for a little background, the Kremlings were originally going to be a point-and-click adventure game called Johnny Blastoid and the Kremling Armada, but they eventually were cancelled and recycled into Donkey Kong Country as the main antagonists. Now, the Kremlings are awesome not just because their design-wise are fantastic, they're creative in each game, as in they're just standard Kremlings in the first one, pirate Kremlings in the next game, and whatever the hell they are in the third game, and then I guess back to basic Nintendo 64-esque Kremlings and DK64, but the Kremlings are awesome because of the charm and personality that Rare gave them. They're slightly pathetic, much like Greg Mill says, he likes creating villains that are threatening but somewhat pathetic, and the Kremlings are the definition of that. And what are the Kremlings without their Kremling commander, King K. Rool? King K. Rool is by far the greatest Nintendo villain of all time. I love him so much. I'm so happy that he's in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the fact that they haven't used King K. Rool or the Kremlings in either DKC Return games is it just pisses me off, man, because, I mean, the Tiki Tribe was lame. They were lame. I don't like them. I feel like they could have done better. The Nomads were okay, but they weren't the Kremlings. The Kremlings are what makes Donkey Kong Country, in my personal opinion. If you don't have King K. Rool, then what's the point of having a Donkey Kong game? It's like having a Mario game without the Koopas, Goombas, and Bowser, or having an Earthworm Jim game where you don't have Psychro, or Queen Slug for a butt. Hell, that's like having a Banjo-Kazooie game but not having Gruntilda. It's just basic video game knowledge that when you have a Donkey Kong game, or at least a Donkey Kong Country game, gotta have King K. Rool and his crazy Kremlings. It's just fact, dude. And the retro games just, they don't do a good job, man. They don't. I at least villain-wise, I don't like them. I don't like the character designs in either games. I think the gameplay is fantastic, but the biggest thing is that it's missing the identity that the Rareware games had, and that was the Kremlings. So, let's talk about those retro games, shall we? Because I think it's time I gave you my full thoughts on the most recent games Donkey Kong has to offer. And this is the part where we talk about the retro games. Donkey Kong Country Returns and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Now, I love Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I'm not a big fan of Donkey Kong Country Returns. Now, don't get me wrong, Returns is a great game. The gameplay is fantastic and some of the best platforming the Wii has to offer next to the first two Super Mario Galaxy games and New Super Mario Bros. But Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze both are missing something that I just talked about in the previous segment. The Kremlings. Like I said, the Kremlings are crucial to Donkey Kong Country's franchise as an entire whole. Kremlings are important to Donkey Kong, and yet if you don't have the Kremlings, who do you have to take their place? The Tiki Tribe? The Nomads? Get out of here, man. King K. Rool and the crazy Kremlings are what made Donkey Kong so fantastic. They were the unsung heroes of Donkey Kong, and I hope that if they do make a new Donkey Kong game, that they will be making their grand return. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is fantastic. I played it recently, in fact, and it's one of the best platformers I've ever played. It is so tight and rich with great level design and amazing music as David Wise came back to compose it. But, again, the locales that Rare had and the villains are what made Donkey Kong so fantastic. If you don't have that, then is it really a Donkey Kong game? I mean, sure, it's a Donkey Kong game, but there's charm missing to it. It's like only half of the puzzle. The Retro Studio games, they're okay. I think they're pretty fun. In fact, I'd go as far as to say they're pretty damn fun. But are they Donkey Kong Country Super Nintendo fun? No, they're not. Sorry, Chief. But hopefully, if they do make a new Donkey Kong Country game, they will take what Rare had left behind and make something truly magical. What studio will be taking on this new Donkey Kong game if they ever make one? Well, let's talk about that. So rumors have been going around rampantly that Nintendo Studio EPD is going to be working on the next new Donkey Kong game, That's been the biggest rumor going around. The only reason why I made this video was because I've been binging Uncle Al's Kong Watch videos, and that's what he's been talking about the majority of the time. People have been speculating if EDP's even working on the game, if it's going to be a 2D adventure or a 3D adventure, what's going to happen to Donkey Kong, and what do I have to say about it? Well, after doing a bit of investigation myself, and some speculating, a little bit of hypothesis, and my own personal opinions and taste, I've come to the opinion of, yeah, I think this may be happening. Now, a lot of people don't believe it. Hell, I was like that. I wasn't sure. And honestly, I can't say 100% for certain if a new Donkey Kong game is coming. I'm hopeful that one will come, but do I think it's going to happen this year or next year? I'm not too certain. I'm not too sure. It could, very well could. I can't say for certain really, and here's why. You see, Retro Studios, you'd think would be making the next new Donkey Kong game, you know, right? They've been making the first two most recent Donkey Kong games, Tropical Freeze and Returns, but they're not working on Donkey Kong, I can almost guarantee that. They have been in development hell with Metroid Prime 4, so the chances of them working on Donkey Kong Country, whatever, yeah, it ain't happening. The third game is not going to happen, and I'm honestly kind of glad, because if there's one thing Donkey Kong has taught us, it's that his third entries aren't usually the best. I'm so sorry, Donkey Kong Country 3 fans, don't hate me. What do I want in this new Donkey Kong game, if this ever comes out? Well, I want it to be the Mario Odyssey of Donkey Kong. I want it to be something spectacular, something that Nintendo hasn't even thought about with Donkey Kong. I want them to take another stab at 3D. Everyone's been saying this. Hell, Uncle Al, the Donkey Kong king, in my personal opinion at least, has been saying this. Nintendo needs to take another stab at putting Donkey Kong in a 3D space and taking him on a place that no Kong has gone before. There was a rumor that Rare was working on a 3D Donkey Kong game for the GameCube. Yuri of Wind talked about it, and I even messaged someone from Unseen64 about it. They didn't know anything about this supposed game. I think this was just some shitpost rumor that someone came out with. I don't think this is real. If it was, awesome, but there is no proof of it. I'd like to reach out to Greg Mills and ask him and be like, hey, is it true that you were working on this was like briefly mentioned, this Donkey Kong game for the GameCube that was a sequel to Donkey Kong 64? Question mark. But I never did, because I feel like if I did, I'd look like a giant jackass and he would tell me no, so no point in asking, right? So, I think I'm done. Yeah, guys, I think I'm done talking about Donkey Kong. I love the Kong. He's one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. Donkey Kong has meant so much to me, not just through his 2D adventures, but his 3D one. Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 and 64 are some of the best platforming has to offer, in my personal opinion. Finally start using the IP again. I really do, because Donkey Kong is one of Nintendo's biggest IPs, if we're being honest here, guys. We're really being honest. Donkey Kong is what saved Nintendo. The fact that they are not utilizing him pisses me off. The fact that they celebrated Kirby's 35th anniversary, but not Donkey Kong's 40th, is bullshit in the highest magnitude possible. I am so frustrated that they didn't do that. Shame on you, Nintendo. For shame. You did not recognize, at least even tweet, Donkey Kong's 40th anniversary. You guys are a bunch of sick bastards if you're not even going to recognize the IP that saved your asses all those years ago. So, yeah. Until then, Donkey Kong is dead, guys. I am Mr.Bones, the internet's most unrecognizable but classy skeleton. And here's one last shout out to the big boy Kong boy, Danky Schlang. What? And with that said, let us all have a moment to cherish what was once had. Let us take a moment. Rest in peace, Big Ape Man.